visual for us.
So it's probably easier to say.
Yeah, here it is. Fine. Whatever you'd like to see.
Okay. Thank you guys for attending this. I really appreciate it. This is research I did last year for my literary methodology class with Dr. Cook. And it was really fun because I got to go on quite a deep dive with finding this information out. So this is When Industrial Progress Stifles the Human Spirit, RW Emerson's vision of balance and the divine right to happiness. Okay. So in the late 1700s, the Romantics ignited a movement against an encroaching era that prioritized industry over nature, the pursuit of profit over human health, and the exploitation of individuals estranged from their freedom and spirituality. With a premonition about where the future was headed, the Romantics prescribed poetry and the prose of wisdom to those who needed medicine, a medicine for their anxieties about the fate of their motherland. In the 19th century in Concord, Massachusetts, RW Emerson and others were inspired by the Romantics and sparked the Transcendental Movement, which emphasized spirituality and nature's importance for identity formation. While Emerson championed these ideals, he also valued scientific progress for human advancement. What sparked my fascination with this topic is that Emerson financially supported the building of factories and he supported technological advancements strongly, whereas Romantic poet William Wordsworth vocalized in his lifetime that industrial advancements were a threat to his philosophy. Emerson's support of industrialization felt disloyal to the transcendentalist goal of the preservation of nature. With a hunch about a missing piece, I was able to discover that he felt very conflicted about industrialization towards the end of his life. So for this presentation, I examined his essay, The Poet, to explore his belief in the inherent human inclination toward nature and its relationship to creative expression. By juxtaposing this essay with the historical context of industrialism and his evolving views on technology, I gained insight into his struggle to reconcile industrial progress with a deep reverence for the sacredness of the natural world. Okay, so in The Poet, Emerson writes about how one should not underestimate the role of the poet in life and within oneself. The poet is not just one who writes poetry, but one who experiences the world around them and unites, as Thomas Kaysen states, the powers of experience, inspiration, and expression. The essence of the piece states, quote, "The man is only half himself, the other half is his expression," end quote. The expression is anything that makes an impact onto the world. Emerson encourages readers to consider the impact of human expression. From an eco-critical perspective, what does it mean for humanity to embrace industrialization if it leads to polluting factories, greed-driven goods, and the exploitation of vulnerable individuals? What does that expression entail? The essay The Poet was published in 1844 when Emerson's optimism towards technology was at its height. Years before, in 1831, Emerson rode his first train while visiting England from Manchester to Liverpool, and he was invigorated with hope for human potential. Emerson acknowledges that his readers may find technological advancements like inventions like the railroad and factories to be antithetical to the transcendental framework. But instead, the inventor is similar to the poet because he has yielded us a new thought. Emerson was fond of scientific advancements because they enabled human flourishing and fostered a society that would financially prosper, only if it was balanced fairly. Emerson believed human beings have every right to make their mark on nature as an insect does. Emerson appreciated inventions because they act as human expression and can serve the greater good of the community. He compares the beehive to the factory or the railroad, noting that nature adopts them very fast into her vital circles and the gliding train of cars she loves like her own. Emerson's optimism highlights his nuanced view of industrial progress. So in the 1820s, Lowell, Massachusetts emerged as an industrial hub, drawing Irish immigrants seeking employment in the mills after escaping Ireland's potato famine. Dr. John O. Green, attending to Irish canal workers, noted the dangers faced by their workers, stating, The nature of their employment exposed them to much accident and disease, and my early practice was much among them day and night. Shockingly, 60% of female workers and 52% of male workers suffered from lung cancer and cotton dust-related illnesses due to these hazardous tasks. They endured unsuitable living conditions, long hours, poorly ventilated environments, shared transportation, and exposure to toxic chemicals. The rapid shift to industrialization brought spiritual trauma, with one male worker expressing a yearning to find myself alone for a brief space so that I might hold communion with my own heart undisturbed. Transcendentalist spirituality served as solace amidst the spiritual decay caused from the transition from nature to factories. Although Emerson prioritized the natural world, his 19th century Republican values affirmed his belief that, quote, without man's intervention on the material as well as the spiritual plane, the natural economy would soon fall out of repair, rendering the world uninhibitable. So within the poet, this political perspective is evident as he believes in the spiritual essence between man and his creation and vice versa. Emerson sought order. When there was an economic agreement, there was a spiritual agreement, and thus there was a balance in the universe. He understood that individuals have the freedom to pursue their desires, to create, and to influence the world. However, he believed this should be done responsibly, with a focus on serving the greater good of humanity rather than solely pursuing selfish inclinations. Quote, the poet apprises us not of his wealth, but of the commonwealth, as Thomas Cason states. This moral thread is the catalyst for Emerson's change in opinions. Emerson eventually draws from his philosophies expressed in the poet and reforms his belief into something more skeptical. Instead of technology being a problem, it was people's handling of technology that became a focal point of his criticism of industrialization. So as technology became ubiquitous, Emerson grew disenchanted with industrialism. Though he initially expressed pride in these advancements and opportunities for Irish immigrants in Lowell, by 1853, he criticized corporations for over-purchasing land and water rights. This connected to his ideas in the poet about expression and leaving one's mark. Emerson believed human expression carries responsibility, contrasting sharply with society's overindulgence and greed. He observed that men seek thrill in war or alcohol, but the true nectar lies in the sobered spirit of the world. For Emerson, the natural world was the foundation of spiritual growth. While he valued machines for advancing humanity, he warned the overuse could sever humanity's bond with nature. In England, industrialism had become a tyranny of machines. Emerson, in an 1853 lecture, voiced concerns about America's pursuit of efficiency, which contradicted the meditative process of being and working. He says, everything is sacrificed for speed, solidity, and safety. He feared America might follow England's path, with people becoming immersed in technology and losing touch with themselves. Instead of overseeing nature, humanity became subservient to machines. In the poet, Emerson writes, "For we are not hands in barrows, but we are children of the fire." By embracing technology excessively, people risked reducing themselves to mere tools. While tools serve as symbols, Emerson stressed respecting their purpose and ensuring their use benefits humanity as a whole. Thomas Cason notes a connection between Emerson's changing views on industrialism and his reaction to the Compromise of 1850, which troubled him as an abolitionist. Despite California's admission as a free state, the harsher fugitive slave law and continued slave trading in DC persisted. Emerson viewed this as evidence of moral decline driven by greed. The fugitive slave law, which required free state citizens to assist in capturing escaped enslaved people, appalled him. He criticized congressmen for succumbing to wealth's influence over morality. Cason notes, the fugitive slave law revealed that Emerson found himself wrestling with the problem of prosperity and Republican virtue. Initially, technology represented liberation to Emerson, but its misuse for greed was reprehensible. This led him to question capitalism's flaws and the consequences of selfishly motivated expression. In the poet, Emerson underscores the importance of expression rooted in nature. He says, every line we can draw in the sand has expression, all harmony of health. Expression driven by greed degrades itself and fails to serve the greater good. Thus, his viewpoints later in life, expressed in the Conduct of Life written in 1860, he states, machinery is good, but mother wit is better. Telegraph, steam, and balloon are like the spectacles on the nose of age, but we will give them all gladly to have back again our younger eyes. While he valued scientific progress and human innovation, Emerson feared technology might lead to disconnection from the divine essence within humanity. Mechanical inventions could offer shortcuts, but they could not replace self-understanding and connection to the divine. So, in conclusion, by examining Emerson's ethics on expression in the poet, a reader can contextualize them with the broader evolution of his perspectives on the advancements of industrialization. The poet's role is to thoughtfully make an impact in the world by serving the greater good of their community and prioritizing the sober natural world as their guide. Over the span of 20 years, Emerson transitioned from disregarding the negative aspects of industrialization to becoming acutely aware of the abuse of power contradicting his moral principles. While technology could benefit humanity, it could also be misused and deviate humankind from spiritually improving and independently prospering. Through the parallels of Emerson's transcendental philosophies and his close proximity to Lowell, a town at the forefront of industrial progress, a reader can understand the prominence that technological change had in his life. Though Emerson remained optimistic about the potential of machinery and the trajectory of technology throughout his lifetime, he emphasized the importance of humanity's connection to the natural world and cautioned humanity against being used by their creations. He advocated for the thoughtful and spiritual use of tools and recognizes that the poet's role is to foster positive expression. Thank you.